Call this meeting to order. If you will, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to the meeting. If you will, please silence your cell phones. We'll begin with the minutes. If you received copies of the last meeting's minutes, are there any additions or corrections?
If there are no additions or corrections, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve. Second. Question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Next, we're going to have Ms. Diana Wright come in reference to the commissioner's sale.
Gertrude and I have put things in your packets for concerning the commissioner sale, and that's going to take place March the 25th. We have a resolution, I believe, that needs approved to move forward with the sale. It's inside your packet.
And we're all familiar with this. Is there a motion or a question?
I make a motion to go forward with the commissioner's sale.
Second.
Motion and second to proceed with commissioner sale on March
25th.
25th. Question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. 3 ayes.
Thank you.
Now you can go have fun.
Yes, thank you. Wish you luck.
Department heads, Mr. Quorum.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ain't really much going on. We've been pushing snow. Now we're back out patching. Trying to patch all the holes that's out there. One thing I really got going on now is I want to try to get out of the contract with Centos for our uniforms down there. Jay just recently signed the contract for another 5 years. They haven't been fulfilling their part of the contract, and when it comes to repairing our clothes, the prices are going up and stuff like that. We can get you about have to rip a sleeve off a shirt before you even get it repaired, and then when you do get it back, it's probably within 2 months. So we've been kind of looking around, talking to UniFirst. They first of all, Centos, they charge us $9,800 a year for everything. UniFirst would charge us $6,100 a year. The only problem we've got is we're stuck in that contract. I talked to the attorney the other day about that. He wanted me to bring it up this morning.
Okay.
Well, this is just a basic service agreement. Either party can get out of it. Just you have to provide a month's written notice that you no longer want their services, and they would be able to bill for any charges for any services that they perform to date. But basically, it's up to the commissioners whether or not they want to let you.
And it's the same. The uniforms and everything they're basically going to be the same thing. Shop rags are cheaper. Our towels and all that. It's all going to be the same, just going to be cheaper.
When you say cheaper, are they of the same quality?
Yeah, they're same quality and everything. That's what I don't know if it's just because of the name is why Centos is so high, or what. But it's the same quality of everything we use right now.
Have you talked to any place else that uses this other company?
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the factory, but NSK over at Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple guys I talked to them, and they love the material and stuff they've got.
And what's the name of this company?
UniFirst is a uniform company. They're based out of Cincinnati.
Mr. Pell, is it a 30-day notice type of notification required to end the contract?
Well, the contract doesn't specify language, but in the service contract, the standard rule is 30 days notice that you no longer want to be a part of the contract. And there's no remedy for breaching it except services they've provided
Okay.
or have. And then I have one, as far as do they own the uniforms? Or does the county, Cintas?
Centos owns the uniforms. The ones we had now.
And then it might be prudent to find, in the event of a breach, the county also has to pay for the replacement value of the uniforms. You get to keep them, but
I don't think we get to keep them, because they can take the patches off and reuse them.
no, I'm sorry, any that have specific embroidering on them, like,
Okay. Now, we bought
Richard
some in
Quorum.
here probably, shoot, about a year ago, we got them t-shirts. They can't,
Those are yours to keep.
yeah, them are ours, right?
I'm
That's
talking
the
about.
that's the only thing we've got is ours, and they're done. We done paid for those. Other than that, Centos owns the rest of the stuff.
Was there anything that they own that they've embroidered with like Fayette County or somebody's name on it?
No, they're just patches and they come off.
Okay.
I think, I don't know what the other two commissioners like to do. I'm in favor of it. However, I think we don't want to get the cart before the horse. We need to get a contract from UniFirst and have our attorney approve that.
Okay.
Then we'll approve, if that contract is approved, then we'll approve that. And also the letter for the 30-day notice of termination for
Centos?
Centos.
Okay.
That way we've got an approved contract in place that we know what the terms are, and at the same time, that gives UniFirst some time to get prepared and gives a 30-day notice to Centos.
Okay.
We don't, do we pay them throughout for the whole year up front, or do we pay them monthly?
Monthly.
I
If
just want
you
to make
do-
sure we hadn't paid the full $9,800 already.
If you go ahead and get a copy of a contract from UniFirst and give it to Chris, and then we can bring it up at our next meeting.
Okay.
That work for you?
Sounds good.
Is it okay with the board? Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next will be Mr. Gray.
Morning.
Good morning.
I didn't make the last meeting because of the weather. Our contracts on our heating and cooling have expired. I did have them, I had them for the last meeting, but like I said, I didn't make it. Myers Mechanical, I got the contract down this year. I'm sorry, yeah, Myers Mechanical come in the highest at $23,465. Irish Mechanicals out of Indy come in at, and not, let me go back to Myers, that's with no control. They don't do control. Irish Mechanical come in at $12,800 a year, and that's no controls. They don't do controls. I can't find hardly anybody they'll work on them, but with the Metaphys at the jail, I gotta have somebody who knows Metaphys. So Johnson Controls, which is the company we're with currently, or was till our contract expired, they come in at $12,785, which is lower than Irish Mechanical. And Controls, $4,120, with a grand total of $16,905 for the year's contract. That's for all buildings. That's for the courthouse, the annex, and the jail. And that's from $23,394 last year, which is $7,489 off. The reason that did that is I took a lot of visits that I didn't seem to need from last year.
So last year our contract was 23 plus.
24,394 last year.
This year it'll be.
This year it's 16,905.
Okay. And the other two companies, Irish and.
Irish Mechanicals and Myers Mechanicals. Myers come in at 23,465 with no controls. I don't think I can give you a copy of Myers.
No.
Irish come in at 12,800 with no controls.
They've had them since and keep that sweet. Do you have a recommendation?
I do. Johnson Controls. I have no problem with them. We've been with them for years. I have no trouble with their service. They're excellent at what they do. They keep this equipment up and running. If I have a problem, they're right. So,
Okay.
I
Is
make
there-
a motion that we accept the Johnson Control bid.
For grand total of,
What was the grand total on that?
grand total on Johnson Controls was $16,905.
1695. I'll second that.
Plus the, what-
That's,
16, that was it, okay.
yeah, that's with controls. It was 12,785 without controls. Controls was 4,120.
Motion and second to accept the contract from Johnson Controls for $16,905. Question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. Do you need a copy of the contract to review it?
Do you have it up with you right now?
I've got it, I need to give it to the auditor so they can get it signed, and then as soon as we get it signed, I'll get one to you. Okay? 'Cause I gotta get it signed and get it back to Johnson Controls.
Okay.
Let me just look at it really quick.
No, let him go ahead and look at it.
Oh, okay.
This has been with them in the past.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing I have is, excuse me, the glass in the jail, the door glass. I'm having an awful time getting glass from Mirrorworks, and when I do, it breaks just about before we even get it in. I've been talking to Brian's Glass in Centerville, and he's got some tempered glass that, some kind of new stuff, new tempered glass that they're gonna try, and I would like to try it. He says they're doing it in Wayne County Jail in the door glasses, and it's working out great. The glass for the doors are $120 each if you buy them at 10. You gotta buy 10 at a time to get them that cheap, because they gotta laminate them. They gotta put them together because they're 3/4 inch thick, and they have safety in the middle, safety on the inside, and then not mirrored, but tempered on the outside. So we was getting them from Mirrorworks a little cheaper. I'm thinking, I can't remember, around $110, but they was breaking so quick it wasn't doing us any good. I'd like to try some of the glass.
And I'd like to specify that the glass is not breaking because of inmates. It's actually
No.
breaking because when they install it, it cracks. as
It
soon
cracks,
as they-
even when they slam the door sometimes, it'll just spider. And, I mean, they can't bust it on out because of the safety in the middle, but it's an ongoing problem. And I'd like to try this glass to see if it works. Like I said, Wayne County says that it's working for them.
We're not contracted with Mirrorworks, are we?
No,
And it's coming out of your budget, so
yeah, it'll be out of the jail budget somewhere on it.
if the sheriff's okay with it, I'm okay with it. I don't think you necessarily need a motion from us. I think that's great, that's prudent.
Right.
If what we got's not working, then we'll find something that does work.
Right.
It should be, I'll take just a moment to let everybody know last Thursday, the commissioners met in executive session, but we didn't meet here. We took a tour of the county facilities. We inspected the jail, the annex, the animal shelter. And the jail does need some work. Jails are highly litigious. I mean, it's a highly litigious location, building, situation, entity, whatever you want to call it. So anything and everything done that pertains to safety needs to be done. And so I think that's prudent to do it that way.
Okay. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.
I don't have really a whole lot to report this week. We're still working on getting the email server, the backup put up to where we can eventually get back to hosting it ourselves. Had a lot of little calls, stuff with people's computers, regular day-to-day stuff. last night, the fiber had a problem for MetroNet for their internet and cable throughout town. So I got a call about 8 o'clock I actually called them because I got a notification that one of our servers wasn't connecting. So I called MetroNet. They had a fiber issue that was cut. Nothing that we could do or that I could change here. Could have easily happened with Comcast or anything else. And then I've got the health department. They're having a kind of an intermittent problem with their internet downstairs. I'm working with Comcast on that, but I think it's just either an old modem or bad wiring on their part, but nothing internal is the problem, so.
Okay.
Any questions for me?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
While we're talking about the annexes, it probably should have come up in the mail, but I'll go ahead and bring up that we received an unofficial quote from Vertical Systems to replace the elevator in the courthouse annex. There were a couple caveats in the language. Basically, that if work exceeds a specified amount, the county will assume the responsibility for additional expenses, etc. The quote they gave us was $106,000. That's if there is nothing unexpected that's encountered. From what we've been told, the pin on which the elevator rests is buried in like 30 feet of concrete, which according to at least one gentleman would necessitate all that being removed. So it's not a 2 or 3 day job, and it's not going to be an easy job. So at this point, I personally don't know where, number one, where we come up with the money, and number two, I think we need to explore alternatives to spending $106,000 on an elevator that really doesn't service that many people in the annex. We have to have it, or an ADA compliant alternative. But for $106,000 right now, I think we'll try some alternatives, if that's okay with the board.
Well, we've dumped a lot of money into that elevator that still doesn't work. So we're just throwing the good money after bad, so.
I think we've
I'm
already
gonna
spent,
agree.
what, $8,000?
Yeah, a little bit more than
How
that.
much were we spent on the elevator bill in the last year or so? 10, 12?
Yeah, 312.
Okay. And we still don't have what we need. Yes, sir.
You'd like I could work with Bill looking at some of the other access alternatives and make sure that we don't have a problem with ADA.
I plan on getting with you
Okay.
yet today, maybe. So
Okay.
maybe the three of us can get together this afternoon.
Great, sounds good.
Okay. Mr. Sudoff.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
We had a meeting with NDOT last December 11th with a consultant, Butler Fairman Seifert, and I talked with NDOT about Bridge 25 concerning the historical documentation and environmental document. And the representative from NDOT wanted to know if the commissioners would be favorable towards delaying that project because it's going to take extra time to get that historical document. And they suggested fall of 2018 instead of spring of 2017. And I can see that's probably going to be the way it is because it's going to take a while to get through the historical documentation on what we're going to do with that bridge to satisfy the federal requirements. So I know we'd like to get it replaced as soon as possible, but that's what I would recommend.
Remind us again where Bridge 25 is, please.
It's on 300 North, west of Harrisburg, about 3 miles.
All right.
It's a arch, a 5-arch bridge. It's got a railing on it that makes it look smaller than it really is. It's like 21 foot between railings, but with those big, huge railings, it looks smaller. It's got, I think, a 10-ton load limit on it. At the present time, it's the arches underneath are coming apart the way it is now. So
I guess the question would be, are you and/or the state satisfied that the bridge will still hold up during that delay period?
Well, I'm waiting on the bridge inspection from Butler Fairman. I can't promise it's gonna hold up. You can see the rebar underneath, and you can knock some of the concrete, so if we keep all the heavy trucks off, if they stay off, it would probably hold
Can we
up.
change the weight limit then?
I'd say 13, I'd go with what the engineers say it should be a legal limit, and 13 tons is pretty light limit anyways.
It's not, my part, it's not wanting to not cooperate with the state. However, you're talking about a 1.5 year difference there. If we wait that 1.5 year difference and the bridge goes out, then it's kind of, it's a long way around, let's put it that way. That's what I'm asking, what's your sense of contingency plan and/or when will the study be done by Butler Super?
I think the historical documentation should be done into this year. We still have to design it. And, have a hearing. We have to have a hearing on that historical documentation.
I meant the safety study. Will they do it? Can they do a study of the bridge and give us an idea?
Yeah, it's underway now. It
Okay.
should be about done.
So can we vote on this after we hear the safety study?
Well, I'm asking you, do you think it would be better off to see if we're not going to push the issue according to the safety study?
I'd say, I don't think we can get it ready by spring of 2017. And they told us they didn't want any projects to be delayed. Now they're asking us to delay it themselves. So, as far as where it's going to hold up, it depends on the traffic and things I do. You know, we could wait another month, or for the next commissioners meeting, I'd talk to Butler Fairman.
I think that's be the prudent thing to do, is see what they say. Just tell them we're concerned about the bridge not being usable
It'd be
because of the delay.
It'd be a 3-mile detour around, be the square mile around
Right.
the north way would be the way to detour. That's what we're planning on construction. So
Okay.
I'll talk to Butler Fairman and come back in next meeting.
Okay.
They said it wouldn't reduce chances for funding. They haven't requested any new projects, like Bridge 90 is what I'm thinking about asking for whenever they ask for new projects. They said it wouldn't reduce our chances for any new funding, new projects.
Okay.
Okay. Then I have some reimbursement forms that need to be signed one for the bridge inspection. Well, there's 2 of them, claim 12 and claim 13, and then claim 3 for bridge 25 design. Claim 12 is for $5,279.20. And claim 13 is $7,705.60 for a total of $13,484.80. And then bridge 25 is reimbursement for $93.92 and 80 cents.
And that's reimbursement back to the county, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Go
I
ahead,
need
motion.
the blue ink signed.
Need a motion to
Yeah.
approve these? A motion to approve the reimbursement forms.
Motion to approve me signing the reimbursement forms.
I second.
Motion made and seconded to allow me to sign the reimbursement forms. On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. You need blue ink.
Yeah, the states.
Before they wouldn't accept blue ink because it was a copy. You have a blue ink?
I was going to bring one up.
I think this may be blue. Check that out.
And we have to get we have to get a copy of the check that the consultant's actually paid now. So I have to submit the claim. Yes, that's the signature in the so I have to submit the claim for each of these, and then they get out the canceled check before I can submit this invoice, so. It's getting more difficult with federal aid projects.
What
Imagine
keeps them
that.
alive.
Now,
Imagine that.
imagine that, yeah. And I have to submit quarterly reports for, as an employee responsible charge for these federal projects. Okay, that's all the business I have.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Warren. Next, county attorney.
First, this contract with Johnson Controls meets my approval that Mr. Gray submitted.
Okay.
Second, I should have brought this up last meeting, just a general heads up to all department heads. If you receive any sort of letter or notice or of potential claim against the county or your department, you need to make sure to let me know right away so I can notify our insurance agent, just so we can be on top of that in case there is potential litigation. Just wanted to remind everybody to not sit on it, make sure I get a copy if you get anything that suggests that a possible claim could be pursued against the county. And after that, I don't have anything else to present unless anyone has a question directly for me.
Nothing I can think of.
Move on to contract with Johnson Controls to me.
I'm sorry.
Is the commission need to move on to contract with Johnson Controls to me?
Yeah, motion to approve my signing the contract for Johnson Controls.
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion to allow me to motion to approve, allow me to sign the contract for Johnson Controls. Question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Set 3 ayes. Council representative. I don't think we have anybody here. Council President's mother passed away yesterday, I believe. So we'll go on to old business. And I'd like to move the agenda up just one notch here. Kim, you want to take the podium?
Did you guys find out anything on the, if there was a policy on the insurance?
Mrs. King has been reviewing that. We kind of divvied up the responsibilities for things, so she can bring you back a report.
Kim, when I talked to you last week or at the last meeting, you said there was no difference between the two insurance policies as far as cost. And I looked at them and there's a large difference in the cost to the county between going with Daryl's insurance or yours. And the policy in the employee handbook states that any employee or elected official who retires and becomes eligible for insurance through another employer will no longer be eligible for the benefits described above. And the benefits that are described are you to have continuing insurance with Fayette County. But that is not possible since you are eligible through your husband because he is employed. It's not another employer, it's Fayette County, but it is a different insurance company. And you're eligible to receive insurance on Daryl's policy through the union with the highway department.
So is there anything that states that he has to carry the union or whether he can carry county?
That question was not brought up to me.
I'm asking now.
It is not the
I mean,
county's.
can he pick up county?
I don't understand why you would want him to pick up county because vision and dental are included on his policy. And from what I can see and the information I was given,
Because if anything would happen to him, God forbid, I have no insurance. Or if anything would happen to him or I have no insurance. And I was always under the impression that when you worked for the county as long as I have, that I would be able to carry it.
if you want to carry insurance on yourself, that would be something we would probably have to consider, but we cannot cover the rest of the family
Okay.
because he has it out, he is eligible. And I didn't find out what the individual costs were,
The individual cost,
but I have some group rates.
the individual cost for me for the month would be $163.82. I don't know what the monthly,
Yours is $163.82,
that's what I would pay.
but that doesn't tell us what the county has to pay.
It looks like Kathy wrote 705, but I don't know what that's. She said single 705 and county for the employees and family, it's 957. That's what she wrote on my paper. That's
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's
I'm
in
sorry, that's
addition.
health and all, everything. It's $124.34 for me to pay, but I'm not for sure what county has to pay.
You're probably right with the 705. And you add the 957, and that's what it would cost for the employee. But if you want to go on an individual plan for yourself, I can see that we can approve that. But otherwise, if you want to have the family plan, you'll need to go on Daryl's insurance. There's just no way we can.
I want to go on, I mean, I want to keep myself protected because you don't know what's going to happen down in the future.
If I understood correctly, if we did it the way you wanted, it would have cost the county a little shy of $4,000 extra a year. Am I correct?
That's right,
For the family or for just me?
for the family.
For the family.
And for you, you're talking 705. But we owe you that. I have no problem with the 705 because that's in the contract and that's the way it's written. But we can't justify the other difference. So if you want to go on an individual plan, you might want to check with the highway department and check their insurance and see, because a lot of insurances, I know that Mike's at D&M and my sister-in-law is still covered under my brother's at Roots Blower or GE, whoever the company is this year. And they cover a spouse if the husband's covered at his time of death. So if something were to happen to Daryl, he might be covered yet on the highway
I
department.
don't think so. I think once, I mean,
Yeah.
the way I understood that, it's,
Okay.
you know, once they're done, they're done.
Okay. So,
And I don't know, like I said, if there's anything out there about whether he can take county or whether he can take the union insurance.
well, I can't understand why you wouldn't take the union because it covers dental and vision, and you have a better coverage with the union policy than you would. You have no dental and vision
Well,
on
I
the county
understand
plan.
that, but we're at the age to where he can get
Yeah.
ready to retire and you gotta look out for
Yes.
yourself at the end.
So you want further time to review?
No, they need to have a knowledge. So you decide which way you want to go. Okay, but we cannot cover the family under the county policy. It just, that's $4,000 of taxpayer money that we can't agree to because he has eligibility for the other policy. Just
Okay.
wouldn't work.
I wanna carry it on me.
Okay. That'll be fine.
motion or what?
Any other questions?
I don't think so. It's basically, we're just continuing what we have been doing. I mean, you're eligible for the retiree's insurance, am I correct, Mrs.
That's
King?
right.
So there's no motion needed there. I mean, you're eligible for that. It's just that we couldn't accommodate you that way because number one, it would require us to rewrite the policy. Number two, it would be another roughly $4,000 for the county in additional. And obviously, anybody and everybody else who met the same qualifications as you and your husband, it would be another $4,000 for that. So it's just, it's a cost-saving measure, and it's just something that I don't think the original planners for the insurance envisioned that. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Kim.
Next, Star Development.
Mrs. McCarty?
Yes.
Okay.
I am here today to give you our recommendations on the owner-occupied bids that were submitted to the county. I think you have dollar amounts per, it's a form that looks like this, and if you can't find them, I have extra copies. I'll just give them to you that way.
Okay.
Save time.
They're probably here somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Thank you.
She put it in there for you. Oops,
That's it?
yeah, that's it. Let me just go ahead. I got plenty of paper here. Would you like that? So there's a total of 8 that, 7, I'm sorry, that I want to award. One reason being is that, as you can tell in the upper right-hand corner, that there is an address that we did not receive any bids on. We're going to revisit that to see if there is, something that we could clarify a little bit more. It was not brought up to us during the pre-bid meeting that there was any kind of question or anything. So we're going to revisit that and then bring it back to you to have it, to rebid that particular address amount.
Sure.
As you can see, we do have remaining funds. There on the bottom, it lists the dollar amount for remaining funds. So we can take new applicants. We do have to have a replacement that is very low income. So if anyone knows of anyone in the county that would be interested, of course this is the unincorporated areas of the county. If anybody would be interested in trying to see if they qualify for this rehab grant, please send them our way.
Okay.
And we'll assist them and make sure they qualify. But these are our recommendations today. After it's awarded, the contractor must provide us with the proper insurance documentation regarding liability and workman's compensation, and they must list Indiana Housing as additionally insured. And then they must also provide us with the required lead-based paint licenses and certifications.
Is there a performance bond?
No, there are no bonds, and that's because of the dollar amount. We're awarding per address, and the dollar amount is lower.
Okay.
So there is no requirement on any bond.
Okay. Does the board have any questions?
Ms. McCarty, I see Marion Dalrymple was here this morning, and he discussed the fact that there are several places in Orange Township that need rehab, and you might get with Marion and see if it qualifies. I'm sure some of them qualify under the tax.
I didn't know who, I don't know who that is.
In the IU
Right here
shirt.
with the
Okay,
IU shirt.
Okay.
And he mentioned last week at the meeting that they had several properties that need rehab and cleaned up in
Okay,
Orange
now this is,
Township.
yeah, okay,
So you
owner
might
occupied rehab.
See the two of you can get together
Sure.
and take care of a property or two out in Orange Township, because they are definitely needing
That's-
some places that,
Good, that'd be great.
okay. So check
Do you
with
need a
Mary.
motion from us?
Yes.
Motion to approve?
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion approved, second, to approve the granting for the owner-occupied rehabilitation project. Question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 3 ayes.
I also have we have to verify on websites that each contractor is eligible to be awarded. So I have copies for the county to keep to prove that we did verify that on the website. So I'll
Okay.
just give it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clardy, appreciate it. Next on the agenda is new business. Mr. McDaniel?
We have our three, code amendments. The first two are actual text amendments, and the third is the zoning map amendment. And, there you go, there's the copies for signatures. And the first one is for the floodplain district rules. This is the only one that's really absolutely critical to go ahead and approve today. We need to get this approved and then sent in for both the city and the county to the Department of Natural Resources. Make sure that we have it in place and it's recorded before February 18th as part of the flood insurance requirements for the update of the flood maps.
You're talking about the airport protection overlay?
No, that's the floodplain district.
Floodplain.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And it's a requirement as part of us taking part of the flood insurance program through FEMA.
Okay.
And this is something we've had in place for a very long time. It was last amended in 2006, and this is just one of the requirements. The only things that changed have been some of the definitions, and that's pretty much it. So there's been some new definitions and then some old ones.
I make a motion, we approve the floodplain amendment.
Motion to approve the flood plan amendment as presented by Mr. McDaniel. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the floodplain plan. Question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
The second is the airport protection overlay district, and this is something the Plan Commission has worked on quite a while. Mr. Worley came back before us earlier in the year and asked us to get back going with this, so it can be in place. It's really what it's doing is it's just at a local level, putting in place all the federal rules that come in place to control airspace around an airport. And the FAA's requesting these be actually adopted in the local rules so that we don't make oversights and miss something that then could actually affect the airspace. Then affect the safety of flight operations, airport operations, and then also and helps protect the investment that through all the various grants that the airport board has made over the years of the airport. It's so like I said, there's what has probably the most critical piece is there's some information for me when I get a application comes in for some construction and verify whether or not it's within this airport district. I put in the information on the lat and longitude of the project and then also the elevation. And then it makes a determination of whether or not this person would actually have to file with the FAA. And that's all it really is. If someone has to file with the FAA, doesn't mean the FAA is going to say no.
So basically, if someone were to seek to build a new building within this protective zone, okay?
Yep.
They would be required to apply for permission with Area Plan Commission as well as the FAA to make sure
Yeah.
they're complying with guidelines?
Yep.
And how far does this protection zone extend from the airport?
Okay, it's the, okay, I think those ones, don't hold me to this, I left the map behind. It's, I think it's, okay, out to the perimeters of the airport out away. It's I think it might be about 1,500 feet. I don't recall off the top of my head.
Well, let me ask a question.
Yep.
We have the industrial park up there.
Yep.
Okay, so if a new business comes in, wants to purchase space to build a building, are they going to be required by this to seek FAA and local approval?
There's a good chance someone would, something goes in up in that industrial park. So it's because there's a relationship between the distance from the runway and then also the elevation. If it falls below that permitted height, then we issue the permit. If it's starting to poke up based on this elevation change requirement, then they have to submit to the FAA. And the other one is that extends north and south. It extends about 5 nautical miles. And that's those are the approach and the landing zones. And so that part right there, that's possibly the most critical, because the big one with that is to make sure nobody's going to build a tall structure that's going to affect the landing instrumentation or affect the floor on the approaches to the airport.
5 miles north and south of the airport.
Yeah, so after this is done, then we need to go speak with Wayne County, so that we'll get something in place on the Wayne County's part as far as notifications. So if nothing else, if something's going to come through, at least notify the local airport. Because most people that, for example, the people with the wind energy, wind farm, they are involved with this, so they have been in touch for each of the locations, and they are going to file with each and every individual tower to make sure they're not going to be in effect. Most of the time with those is someone's actually building a tall structure they're familiar with, but I think the biggest threat's going to be risk might be some of the things in the industrial park area.
Okay. And you recommend this?
Absolutely had a unanimous favorable recommendation.
Okay. The board have any questions?
No, I was at the area plan meeting, and they explained all of this, and it was pretty thorough. The danger we would be in is that the federal government, some of the grants that the airport had, if we don't approve this, they may be wanting money back, and we really don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
I make a motion we accept.
That's the potential cost if we miss something.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Question? All those in favor of approving the Airport Protection Overlay District, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Okay, now, item number 3, that's the zoning map amendment for the 40 and 8 request to rezone from A2 agriculture to enclosed industrial. Okay, there's 5 parcels. It's a total of approximately 10 acres. It received an unfavorable recommendation from the Area Plan Commission of 5-3. And the primary reasons are it's pretty much a classic example of spot zoning, and which is something that is, spot zoning can very easily be turned over in court if it's found to be a spot zoning. And the other one is that it's right there in the floodplain, so there's concerns about that. And I think I attached a letter from Mr. Ellis of Emergency Management with his concerns about it.
So is this for our information?
This is the ordinance is on the front, but everything else was included with the information, which is my staff report and then the various maps that were provided to the Planning Commission. And what's proposed on the part of the is the gentleman that's interested in purchasing the property is he's manufactures little wood parts for crafts and things, and would be bringing the materials into the 40 and 8 if he's able to purchase it, and then be repackaging them for delivery through things like FedEx and so on. And I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell, isn't it, Leona?
So what are you asking from us?
Okay, this is, do you approve the rezone? Do you reject the rezone. It's, like I said, it received an unfavorable recommendation.
Well, the thing I wanted to mention real quick is the only thing that the commissioners know about this entire thing is what we've read in the paper.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm not gonna vote on something that,
No, absolutely is the, if you wish to speak with me, it's, come on down, we can speak in more detail. It also is, you may wish to speak with Mr. Parker also.
I'm with Commissioner Bedore. I mean, I don't know enough, okay? And I'm not about to override the Area Planning Commission's decision without being informed. And I would have thought that if it were important enough, there'd have been a representative from the company here this morning. So, does the board wish to act on this right now?
Well, have the Florida Nate reapplied for the other?
No, there has been nothing with anything else. Is the
They talked
So-
about going for a
but what I would
business
say is
warehouse.
even if it was to be there to then try to come back with a rezone, some of the other issue would still remain as far as a spot zone, maybe not as strong, but still be the floodplain. The floodplain still be involved.
If there's no motion, we'll take this under consideration.
That's a good plan.
Okay?
And like I said, any questions you might have with me, I'll be more than happy to speak with you. And like I said, as I think then maybe some more information, maybe we should speak with Mr. Parker.
I think maybe this afternoon, if you're not going to be out and about, we'll
I have a few inspections this afternoon.
then I'll get with you one day this week. We'll look at the annex.
Okay.
real quick.
Sounds good. Okay, but I can with the other two, and I can take care of those, and then city council tonight with those also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Turner?
I just wanted to kind of start off with actually department head report.
Please.
I just submitted our fourth quarter stats for the probation department. I'm required to submit to the state judicial center stats, and I thought it'd be interesting to kind of share with you. Now, fourth quarter would cover October 1st to December 31st of 2014. At the end of, on the last day, December 31st, we had a total of 518 people on active probation supervision in Fayette County. 326 of those were felony offenses. 192 were misdemeanor offenses. We're also required by the state for each person that is put on active probation that we submit a risk assessment for reoffending behavior, which it's consistent across the state. We go through training. It's through the University of Cincinnati that created this risk assessment. There are, out of the 518 total probationers, we have 55 of those that are considered high risk to reoffend, which obviously means we have to stay on top of them and meet with them more, do more home visits. There's 158 that were considered medium risk to reoffend, and there were 279 that were low risk. There were 26 considered administrative. Basically, they're pending their assessment interview with their probation officer and having that entered in the system. And that's pretty typical. That was appropriate that there's 26. Also, I just wanted to say the last year in review, two of our biggest improvements happened in November and December. And I do want to compliment my staff for having a great attitude in doing that and working diligently with each other to get these two changes. The first was in November. We switched to a drug testing through NORCM from American Screening Corporation directly to NORCM. NORCM has a evidence-based program called Sentry, which if we want someone to be truly on random drug screens, we sign them up for the Sentry program. They get a 1-800 number. They are required to call in on a daily basis to the 1-800 number. They have from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. to call. The computer truly, randomly notifies them if it's their turn to get a drug screen, and they're required to come in that day and do their drug screen. This program will notify the assigned probation officer that the person didn't call in at all. It will alert them if they were supposed to come in that day and they didn't come in.
So I'm excited about this program. It's definitely going to make probation more efficient in truly doing the random drug screens and keeping up with that. When you have over 500 people, it's difficult to keep up with whether someone called in one day or not. So the other thing is that Community Corrections, I referred to them, this program, they also are getting on the Century program. We are going to share the information. For instance, if someone gets a screen through Community Corrections, if they're doing community service work or they're on home detention and they get a screen, we won't be screening it. So we won't be duplicating the services and costing more money to the county. We will be able to see each other's results. So we're working together as far as that goes. The other one was for the Odyssey changeover. Again, I'm excited about the Odyssey changeover. Once we get used to it and once we get everything in, that can get frustrating. You know, we're learning a new system. I know we get frustrated. Plus, we had over 600 people that we had to manually input from our old system of PBS into the Odyssey program. In fact, we still probably have a couple hundred to do. But once we get that in, there's going to be many benefits to having switched over to the Odyssey program. We started that. We had training the first full week in December. So we're still working on that. We're working on getting used to the system. I'm hoping to have us totally switched over from the old system to the new by the end of February, where it'll be totally through Odyssey, nothing through the old system. So that's been exciting, and a lot was thrown at the probation department in a very short period of time, and they've handled it very well. So I wanted to bring that up. The other issue that I'm here for with the commissioners is that I did apply for a grant through the Drug Free Communities Fund, which is Fayette County Drug Coalition. They are basically set up by the commissioners, the governor's commission. Any fees that are collected, they call them ADA fees, through the court system that are drug related is put in a separate fund. It's the Drug Coalition's main function to take whatever money's collected at the end of the year and disperse that money through grants in 4 main service areas. I submitted a grant in the law enforcement area with the intention of assisting law enforcement in implementing any programs that address the 2 needs identified by the Drug Coalition, which was minor consumption, contributing to the delinquency of minors, as well as any criminal activity that's related to prescription drug abuse. I asked for $685. This is for a one-time cost of obtaining a program called Carry Guide Bits, which has 33 guides. They're separated in 2 different areas. One is dealing directly with probationers and any issues they may have. Examples would be problem solving, anger issues, substance abuse issues. If that's identified as their problem, you would go to that guide specifically for substance abuse. It walks the probation officer through how to handle this supervision. It gives evidence-based worksheets to be given to the probationer to do. The other half of that is it helps the probation officer in general with case management issues that come up, which are responding to any violations of probation, how to motivate the offender to change their behavior. That deals with, again, evidence-based systems and tools for the probation officer to use. I'm trying to get the department to be more consistent and that the probation officers are supervising and responding quickly to violations more consistently among the whole department. So it wouldn't matter what probation officer you have, they're going to be doing the same things. The other thing that I was paying as far as that goes was the brief intervention tools. They're called BITS. That is a supplement to the Carry Guides. They're basically worksheets that can be used in a moment of teaching. If probationer is criminal thinking, like they're justifying what they did, there's a worksheet that is an assignment, a thinking assignment, and it walks the probationer. They have to answer a series of questions that gets them to start thinking about, is that maybe wrong the way I'm thinking, or you know, how am I thinking about this, which helps the probation officer and what is going on with probation, with the probationer. So that's what it's for. I did get stats together for the Drug Coalition grant. Basically, I based it on the fact that we had in 2014 145 new probation supervisions received that were substance related, meaning it was minor consumption, it was driving under the influence, it was dealing in cocaine, any identified substance abuse category by the Indiana Code. We had 145 new ones last year. As of December 31st, there were 192 active cases that were substance abuse categories. So I'm targeting those, but I do feel like probation officers will be able to use both of these guides in general, and it doesn't have to be directly just for substance abuse. In recording it though, reporting back to the Drug Coalition, I am going to identify those that are high risk for substance abuse or have substance abuse charges, keep track of those, and have the probation officers report when they use either the carry guide or a BITS intervention worksheet, so that I can report back to the Drug Coalition how many times a probation officer was able to address a situation immediately by using these guides. And that's what I'm going to be reporting to the Drug Coalition at my end report. I basically said that an estimated number of participants that would benefit from this is at minimum 200. That's based on the fact that there's 192 substance-related offenses. I suspect there will be way more than that if probation officers use that for any time they need to use it, not just for substance abuse issues. The Agreement Acceptance Fund, I will have to say I am on the Drug Coalition board also. I am a member of the board. However, I do excuse myself when they are voting for how to get those grants out and who gets what. I do not vote on my own grant. I don't know if last year in the grant they had us sign a form indicating that I'm on the board, but I've also submitted a grant. For some reason they didn't this year, but I'm fine with submitting that if the commissioners would feel better about doing that. It just wasn't required this year from the Drug Coalition.
You're talking about a disclosure form? Conflict of interest
Exactly.
disclosure form?
Exactly. And I disclosed it to the Drug Coalition already. I mean, they knew that I had submitted the grant. The qualifications, if we get this grant, we do have to appear for attend 4 of the coalition meetings. Since I'm on the board, that's not an issue. I go to every meeting usually. I do have to provide 2 reports regarding the project, and the final report must be summative in nature and in writing. I don't have an issue with coming here and reporting what I'm telling the Drug Coalition. I can come to the commissioners and do an update as far as this grant goes. I know they're meeting in first Friday in February. I know that we got the grant just because I'm on the board, but the board will be voting on it the first Friday in February, and I just wanted to make sure it would be approved by the commissioners before I would accept that grant money.
I don't know.
Well, they're going to come before you in February too and give you all that.
I don't anticipate any problems whatsoever, Jenna. I think it's probably as appropriate the use of funds as I can imagine, so I don't see any problem at all. So you'll be here the first meeting of February, is that what you said?
No, well, the Drug Coalition will be here to get the grant approvals that they have to get it approved by the commissioners also before they can send it to the state and have the money.
When is their meeting?
It's always the first Friday of every month. And January's was canceled because we meet at the School Student Resource Center and school was called off that day. So the next meeting would be the first Friday in February.
February 6th.
And they
Okay, so
should be
it-
requesting to get on the commissioner's
It
agenda.
will be
for
after
that.
our first meeting, so they'll have 17th.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
We meet the first Tuesday, so they'll have to be on the agenda for the meeting on
I
the
see what you're
17th.
saying. Yeah. I will make sure and let Carol McLean should be the one
Okay.
again. We're talking about. And that was it. I just kind of wanted to report. At minimum, I will be back in June to give a semi-annual report
Okay.
of the probation department, and I can update you on this grant at that time if we get the money and that
We
goes
have,
through.
we've talked amongst ourselves. I think that we have weekly, every meeting, we have certain department heads. But I think some like probation and some others that maybe will have it at least quarterly, if for no other reason than you to tell what's being done and kind of keep the public informed of what you're doing and what your
Okay.
needs are.
So you want quarterly?
Uh,
You think that would probably,
yeah, I
That's
think that'd be
fine.
good.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Jenna.
Any questions or anything?
Yeah. This was in, you need to comment on this, or do you need?
What, are you talking about the hours? Basically, there was a question, I guess, I don't know that, maybe just for review, I don't know that I'm asking any action at this point, but I think we did talk with the auditor after I submitted that email. There was confusion, and to me, it wasn't consistent of how probation, because we work 33 and a half hours, and our hours vary according to what the court has set the hours. For example, on Wednesdays, we work a total of 8.5 hours because they have juvenile court. But on Thursdays, we only work a total of 4.5 hours. It was in the past that the auditor was requiring that, say someone took a Thursday off, they had to take a whole day. They had to report it as an entire day. The discrepancy is someone takes a sick day on Wednesday. Well, they're taking 8.5 hours. If someone takes a sick day on Thursday, they're only taking 4.5, but they were still having to claim a whole entire day. So they basically are losing 4 hours, which to me, that's half a day. That's quite a bit. Now, I think in the meantime, the auditor had contacted my receptionist, office administrator over there that deals with the reporting of the vacation. And basically, because we're reporting hours in our regular payroll for our regular days, I think it was discussed that it was okay to report the hours of our vacation and sick. It's just inconsistent if you go by that, and I agree with that, that would be great. So if they took 4.5 on Thursday, basically you're deducting 4.5. You'd be converting, like if they get 5 work days, they have 33.5 hours vacation. They use 4.5 on a Thursday, you deduct 4.5 from 33.5. That's fair.
Right.
However, it's not consistent with how it's worded in the manual. And I didn't know if that was something you want to review. It's not in hours, everything's in days. So you get 5 work days. Sick days, you get 8 sick days. Well, does that depend on, you've got an uneven amount, how many sick days is that for probation? Because it depends on what day you take it.
Right.
When you have 5, that's fine because you have 33.5, but you're saying you get 8, so which 3 days of the week are you applying to probation?
I'd have to look at it.
It gets confusing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it reflected in the, if it reflected in our employee manual in hours rather than days,
Right.
it would be more consistent. And I don't know if that's something that you want to deal with, but I was just going to bring it up because
I'll sit down, I'll come see you and sit down with you so I can kind of wrap my head around it.
okay.
If we, at some point, have to change it or
It's because it would be
set of days.
any of those departments that go by the court hours because they're different every day.
Right.
We don't have the same hours every single day. That's the only reason it becomes an issue.
Okay.
That'll be it.
Thank you.
I
Appreciate
was
it.
normally that alone, but since you brought that.
One thing I want to point out, when you guys talk about Odyssey, unlike with the courts, whose data was imported into Odyssey, probation's wasn't. They're doing it all from scratch.
Every bit of information.
So they're having to have
Every detail.
their old system up and their new and going from one to the other. So it's been more of a hassle for them. So I just wanted to point that out, that when they're talking about going to Odyssey, it's a little more of a pain for them than it was for the
I just have to
office.
say the first full day that they spent the entire day putting input, I went to everyone's office. It was hilarious. I would walk by their office and they'd look at me with this blank stare in their eyes because they'd done nothing but computer entry all day. Every single one of them. That's why I want to compliment them. They haven't complained. They've done an excellent job, and I know it was a lot to take in. So they really have done a good job.
I want to compliment you because you're doing a good job too, Jenna.
Oh,
Thanks.
thank you very
Most certainly
much.
are. If I want to move the agenda again, Sheriff?
Good morning.
Good morning,
I just
sir.
want to thank you guys for coming by last week, the tour that you guys did and reviewing everything. It really helped me and getting everybody on the same page of what's going on in the jails. First thing, the last meeting that I was here, I brought 2 jailers to be approved by you guys. And in the meantime, between the commissioners meeting that morning and the council meeting that night, I had another jailer resign. Chris Plow took a job with the Rush County Sheriff's Department in their jail, taking about a $6,000 or getting a $6,000 pay raise and dealing with about a third of the inmates. So couldn't really blame him to do that, but he let me know he was resigning. I brought the 144s that night to the council, all 3. We had an additional officer that we got approved that night, so I presented you guys with his application. The officer I'd like to hire is Cody Schuler. He is currently enlisted in the National Guard. Had an excellent interview, very nice, polite young man, very squared away. So with your approval, I would like to hire Cody Schuler as our next jail officer.
Motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion to approve and a second to approve the hiring of Cody Schuler for the jail officer position. Question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes.
Thank you. Next thing I'd like to discuss is the drain that we talked about at the last meeting. That is still ongoing process with that. As you guys saw, not only does F Block's drain have issues, but we're starting some issues in E Block as well with erosion around the drain. Bill has already talked to PALS. The drain is in. We are waiting on additional items to come in to install that. So we don't have an exact date when they're going to start. Believe it's going to be a 2-day project. Probably, Bill's saying it's saying a 4x4 square's got to be cut out, reinstall the drain, new concrete. So still waiting. And Bill's tried to call them a few times this morning, and they must be busy on the job. So we haven't had any other contact with them as of yet.
You have to lock them down?
When we do that, yeah, they'll be locked down, which they'll absolutely love. So we'll deal with that. So as we get additional information, we'll let you guys know on the drain. The next thing is the jail controls. You guys, we talked about that in the executive session during your guys' tour. We since then have had another incident without going into detail and talking about security issues within the jail. It has happened again. It is a huge liability issue, huge security issue for us. Presented you guys with a quote from Stanley Security. They are the company that initially installed this. This was at the beginning of Sheriff Wason's first term. I believe it's something that was set in motion by Sheriff Jackson. So the equipment is 8 years old. According to their quote, this equipment's only supposed to last 5 to 6 years, and it has lasted 8. So that's why we're starting to deal with issues. The quote here is for 4 terminals. The one terminal is the Informer PC and the monitor. That is the main hub that controls everything. So that is what we're having to reset when we have this issue. So they will be reinstalling all of that for a cost of $30,750. Additional quotes would entail installing all new equipment and probably a much greater cost.
Addressing the matter of additional quotes, I spoke with our attorney. I don't think additional quotes are needed because what your need there is for this quote here is proprietary, and it's specific to that system and everything like that. So I don't think we will need extra quotes in that case.
Okay. And they actually emailed Major Jones this morning to see where we were with things. So, and they said they would be happy to come to the next commissioner meeting and discuss anything further, any other questions you may have.
Do you know what's the time frame for getting the job done? You know?
Didn't give me a time frame, but he acted like they could act on it pretty quick. They just have to set it up, test it at their site, and then they would bring it down and install it fairly quick.
If you've never been to their site, they have mock-ups in their warehouse, and they will design whatever system specific to your facility, set it up in their facility, test it, make sure it works and everything like that. That's what he's talking about. It's really rather neat. Do you want approval of this today?
I would love to. Yeah, the quicker the better.
In jail queue, I checked last week, we're like $2.33, 63 cents shy of 46,000 in there. So unless there are some other claims, I think we can probably take it out of jail queue, which will deplete your fund, especially with the other repairs, or were you planning on taking these repairs from Powell's from someplace else?
We'll probably have to see what that's going to be. Bill's thinking that's going to be pretty substantial, so without knowing the dollar amount.
Do you have a ballpark figure, Bill?
I tried to go on today and I couldn't tell really.
I mean, this is something, of everything that we discussed during the jail tour, this is the paramount issue. This is...
Yeah, this is your biggest issue
Yeah,
that you need to get done.
we'll work on the others as funds and time become available, but this has to be taken care of without going into specific detail about what's going to happen.
I think given what I said, we're just a couple dollars shy of 46,000 in jail queue as of last week. So what's the board's pleasure?
I make a motion that we take this out of jail queue and get it done as quick as possible. Will that include replacing the flooring and?
No.
No,
This is
that's another
strictly for the
Okay.
electronic controls.
I will second the motion for $30,750.
Have a motion on the floor to accept a quote from Stanley Security for $30,750 to repair the controls in the jail. Question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 3 ayes.
And one last thing, this Thursday night will be our merit board meeting where we will be selecting our new road deputy. And we have 3 finalists. I wanted to let you know who those guys were. First is Court Officer Kyle Miller. Kyle's been with the department around 2 years. He's, like I said, currently our court officer does a terrific job. Next is Corporal Kyle Miller. Kyle McMurray. Too many Kyles. Kyle McMurray is our 3rd shift corporal. Also been there almost 3 years, I believe. Kyle's done an excellent job. 3rd shift, as anybody that's worked in the jail, can be very difficult at times, because usually when people come on 3rd shift, they're not in the best state and they're usually ready to fight. So Kyle's done a great job. Very nice young man. And the last is Jail Officer Dan Becker. He's one of them that I brought to you guys last meeting. Dan has started. I've had 2 jailers text me just personally and thank me for hiring Dan. They really like him, think he's been a great hire, and has done a great job. All 3 have done excellent through the testing. We had our interviews with our road deputies, interviewing them in here last Thursday night, and this was unanimous top 3 from all the deputies. I asked their opinion. There was different 1, 2, and 3s, but in my time and involved in the interviews with the department, this has been the best top 3 I've seen. So it is a very hard decision, and I'll be looking to my merit board for some guidance and
and who to hire for sure. So 3 great candidates. And I'd like to invite any of you that would like to come Thursday night at 7 in the squad room at the jail. Feel free to come over. And pretty special night.
Are you having pizza?
We might have some pizza. It's not a bad idea. You want to go halves on that?
Is this open to the public or is it?
Yes, we'll have an executive session at 6. That's where the merit board will be interviewing the applicants. And then at 7 o'clock, it's a public meeting. So as long as we're done by 7, sometimes the interviews can go shorter or go on a little longer. But yeah, feel free. It's a great night, and I always look forward to it. It kind of makes me remember the night that I got hired by a certain somebody in here.
It was a good night.
Yeah, it was a good night.
Sheriff, I think we'll be working on piecemeal on your problems at the jail.
Okay.
In this letter that I have for the council detailing the highlights of our inspection tour, I put in there that this control issue, according to you and Zach, was the paramount issue. So it's not something I don't think that can wait.
Okay.
Okay, so I will, actually, I'll try and call one of the council members this afternoon and explain what's going on in advance of the meeting for the approval of it on the 3rd.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, before he steps away, I just got a call from Powell Point, a ballpark, about 1,500.
1,500?
That's ballpark.
Well, that still leaves us a cushion there, so, okay. Thank you, Bill, appreciate it. You're up, you're at home plate, Kelly.
Okay, well, I've been given instructions. Here is our applicant's original.
You go up there and introduce yourself.
Okay, and then this is what we had her submit to apply for the full-time. That is her
Oh,
original
same
part-time.
thing.
yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to put
I'm
the,
sorry.
and I need those back. Hi, I'm Kelly Van Meter, and I'm with 911, and I'm here on behalf of Terry Bennett today.
You might explain why, if you want.
Terry's had a death of her father, so she's not going to be here this week. So I'm going to take over for things that she might have to have done this week for. So she'll be back hopefully next week. Since November, we've been needing to fill a full-time position over at 911. However, we halted the process due to the fact that the 911 advisory board wanted to have some input in it. So we had the interviewed applicants last week. They selected one to put in the position. We would like to start her full-time position for today. She's been with the 911 for about 8 months. She's done an outstanding job as a part-time employee, and she does well. She's well deserving of the position. It would be Stephanie Cecil.
From the information that Ms. Bennett gave me, the advisory board, those who actually were involved with the interview gave her, they were 100% for this, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. You want to take a moment to review that?
The advisory board had made the.
Go ahead and are you here to also talk
This is
about
the same
the
thing.
repeater system?
Well, not really.
Okay, all right, and I had spoken with.
I have information, but I'm not here on behalf of that.
Okay, I'd spoken with Mr. Munson,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there have been some changes, so I think he's, I think you guys are on our agenda for February.
We are. I think the bottom line is she had some quotes, but she was not going to use those. I believe she needs to know the money it would be to put for the compatibility of her console. Ultimately,
From what Dale told me, what he and Terry were originally looking at wouldn't work technologically.
because of the digital, it would be
That
a
I don't
digital.
know.
I think it's a digital system that Dale's talking about,
Okay,
and it's not interchangeable with that console.
okay.
Either that or there's money to interchange it.
Well, he'll be looking, and we can take care of this at our next meeting,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I know Terry's got herself, she's got information for you.
Would you give Terry our condolences for her father
I
passing?
sure will. Leota, she wanted to tell me that on the date, if you would just get with her next week to reschedule, she would be more than happy to see you
I
then.
figured that was going to happen.
Yeah, Yeah, but she didn't forget you. She's already been at the office today, this morning early with me. So she's still going, trying to get
So you
things
need a
done.
motion to approve?
We need a motion.
Motion to approve Stephanie Cecil to the full-time position at 911.
Is there any questions about the filling of that position, or?
No. I
Your
understand.
advisory board's happy we are.
Yep.
Is there a second to the
I
motion?
second.
Motion to approve Stephanie Cecil for the full-time position of 911 dispatcher. Question? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 3 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
And last, but certainly not least, Madam Auditor.
Yes, I wanted to introduce to the Board of Commissioners this morning a new employee we hired for our accounts receivable position. Her name is Nancy George. She's standing there with us today. Nancy comes to the auditor's office with quite a great background in terms of management, accounts management, office management in areas in North Carolina, in Indianapolis, quite the urban area as far as customer service in her professionalism. So we're real excited to have her on board. And so I just wanted to introduce her initial applications in front of the commissioners today. She has been brought on at a starting pay for that position. I do want to, just as a side note to this, just let the commissioners know this morning that because of where our office is as far as a office of newer employees and new employees, there's quite a bit of training that we're going to need to go through with the State Board of Accounts, with Department of Local Government Finance, which will require us to have the office closed while we're in some of those critical state training sessions. Last week, we did have to close the office for 3 hours because of an opportunity with our financial software vendor, Lau, who came in to complete our W-9s and our 1099s, and so we just kept them on board. But we did have our office open for the last hour of business to take care of any county and public business, since this was an unannounced closing. I will make sure the commissioners and our department heads have advance notice on those days we are closed for training, because there are a few that are coming up starting this week and on into the future, so we can get up to speed and be compliant in all our responsibilities.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Need a motion to approve?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It's done.
Patron concerns? Mr. Reese, do you have anything to say?
Never.
That's unusual, but...
That's unusual.
Okay, if there are no patron concerns, I'll entertain a motion to approve the approval of payroll and claims.
I make a motion to approve payroll and claims.
I will second.
Motion to approve payroll and claims, there's a second. Question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3 ayes. There's nothing further. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, and also a second. Question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, 3 ayes.